All right, righty text. One of you has to know something about what's going on here. I'm going to write this out as my thoughts come, so please don't expect a well-edited story with great writing. All cards on the table this time. I need some fucking help. Little backstory to provide some context. My name is Jesse. I'm 20 years old, and I live in a town called 𝗭𝗲𝗹 in New Zealand in a house with a flatmate named Matthew on Mortimer Street. Pick related. Lovely town, 6,000 people. They're all a bit odd, but that's to be expected from small town people. Our neighboring towns, Timaru and Oamaru, like to joke that there's something in 𝗭𝗲𝗹 water. Makes us all a bit different, you know. So I'm about 6 foot tall and I weigh 49 kilograms. That's 108 pounds for all the Americans reading. Also, don't tell me to eat some fucking food. I've stayed the same weight since I was 12. There's nuke I can do about. I've done a fair amount of drugs in my time. Lot of weed, plenty acid, some coke. Some I know what they are like, how they make you feel. It's an augmented reality when you're on them, and your brain can sorta tell that this is the case. Not the same feeling as what I just got, and I can't make heads or tails of it. The drug I want to try next is shrooms. They grow wild. I've been searching. This is what happened today, starting at around 5 p.m. Basically every day I go out hunting for the growing gold, and every day so far I've had no luck. Not a single active. So today I decide I'll do something different. I'll just walk around where I usually do. I'm going to go out early and take a nice long walk out into the bush, and surely I'll find something. I get dressed in my usual get-up. Freshly dub-on boots so my feet don't get wet walking through the grass. My jacket I've had for 5 years still waterproof. Hat and a pair of thin leather gloves. It's been raining the past few days pretty hard, providing the best weather conditions for optimal shroom growery, and it's finally calmed into a light drizzle overnight. I left my house just before 5 a.m. Walked down the street, through the small stream and into some pretty light bush coverage. Checked all my usual spots, and again nothing special. I was knelt down looking through some ferns because 𝗭𝗲𝗹 tend to grow close to them. No birds yet, as it's still a bit too early. Can hear the stream running behind me, and out of fucking nowhere at about 5:30 a.m. I hear this loud bang on the corrugated iron fence directly in front of me. Sorta like someone had thrown a medium-sized rock at it. I go take a look, and there's nothing. No animals, no people, houses far away. Justify it to myself as the fence warming up a bit in the air. I notice my hat is a bit wet, and I can feel its cold on my forehead. No biggie, time to keep walking. At this point I'm fine, feeling fine. Not a care in the world except for finding my bloody mushies. So I walk out in the bush, and I just keep walking for about an hour. I've gone past all the farms, and I'm nice and deep into some uncharted mushroom hunting territory. Sun still hasn't come up, but it's thinking about it, and I've started hearing wildlife. Birds all out in force. Heard a farmer going to his dogs in the morning, and all their excited barking. Feeling really good, and then all of a sudden just not feeling good at all. It's difficult to explain the exact emotion. Think of it like you've just been informed the only thing you care about in the world has just been taken from you. First thing I felt psychically was the coldness of my hat was gone. I was sweating, and I never sweat. Not when I run, do heavy lifting, get to the final 2 in a game of pug. I just don't sweat. Then I noticed my hands were hot, sweaty palms in my gloves. I'm just standing there in the bush feeling this way. I didn't want to move. In fact, I felt compelled to not move. Maybe it was instinct. I'm unsure. I stood there for maybe 5 minutes, and slowly the feeling faded. I wasn't really in the mushy hunting mood anymore, but figured I'd finish it off and maybe come out this way again if I found something. I fucking found something indeed. About another 30 minutes into my walk, I came across this clearing, maybe 50 or 60 meters across and just all mud. I figured I must have found someone's patch where they grow weed and they've recently tugged out all the plants because it's getting too cold and they needed to harvest, and all the walking they did just fucked up the ground, but I couldn't settle on that. It wasn't quite right. Something was missing. I figured it out standing there. No leaves on the ground. No pile of dead plants anywhere to be seen. It was just an empty clearing. However, there were tracks all around, so someone was here at some point. I walked a bit out into the clearing and started looking at the tracks. Seemed like people walked around here a lot. Boot prints, dog prints, more boot prints but different boots. Then I saw something fucking strange. Just regular human feet prints. You know when you see something that doesn't make sense immediately and you stop to think about it and kinda come out of autopilot mode. That's what happened. Then the bad. No sound at all. No birds. No fucking anything. That feeling suddenly came back. Like a pharaoh wave to the mind, and I started dry retching, but like. You know how when you heave it takes a second or two before it happens again? It wasn't like that. It was continuous. I heaved and immediately suck in air and go again. I started shaking enough for it to draw my attention, so I looked down at my hands, but I couldn't really see them. Everything was unfocused and foggy. I finally got to nope time. I'd had enough of this bullshit, and I was going to go home and make a nice drink, and everything was going to be fine again. I was wrong. I'm home now and I've had my drink. And everything is not fine at all. It went fucking wrong when I caught movement while looking up. I was still on my side of the clearing, so about 40 meters from me as my head came level. Its foot hit the ground from leafy undercoverage to mud in the clearing, and then it stopped stock still. Absolutely no movement. I can't match it to any animal, but what jumps to mind is definitely, what's the faggot's name? Mr. Lupin, the Harry Potter film. Pick related. There were some major differences though. His skin was completely fucking hairless and much more pale. Looked almost translucent, but I couldn't make out any color. Thinking about it now, it's hard to imagine not seeing blood vessels or something. Something to tell me it was alive. Growing hair, blood vessels, a scratch or a scrape, anything would have been enough. It was just one solid, pale color. It was standing upright with a slight hunch around the shoulders. Similar to a human, if you bring your shoulders up and push them forward a bit, you'll understand what I mean. Very similar facial structure to Pick related, but less elongated. The thing that really got me was there was absolutely no emotion until our eyes met. There was some sort of recognition in its eyes, but nothing else. At this moment, I knew I was a dead man walking. Pick related, it's all ruined. Have you ever had a nightmare where you're getting chased by something, but you can't run? You try to run, but you can't, and struggle and try all you like, there's just nothing you can do. In the dreams, that emotion usually fades after you wake up, and you don't really have a solid grasp of that emotion. Same exact feeling, but now I can remember it. Have you ever watched a stoat kill a rabbit? The rabbit sits there and screams as the stoat walks up to it, keeping eye contact the entire time. The rabbit is just so instilled with fear it's incapable of movement. I was the rabbit. I was prey. I was dead. I knew I was dead, and it knew it too. That's when it took another step out and into the clearing. Perfectly fluid movement, at least 8, maybe 9 feet tall. It kept eye contact with me this entire time. I heard dogs barking. I assume now that a farmer was moving some sheep from one paddock to another. That barking saved my life. Whatever it is looked away from me for a brief second to the direction of the noise. We broke eye contact, and I took my first breath in what felt like a really long time. maybe 7 or 8 seconds in reality. I turned heel and started running full tilt towards the noise of the dogs. The bush isn't too thick around here. I got a fair pace going, and for a second I thought I'd be okay, but I definitely wasn't going to be okay after another second's thought. Its movement was impeccable. It'd catch me, and I knew that. Something about this realization gave me an added boost of adrenaline. My legs were stretching to maximum capacity with every stride. I must have been moving about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour for a solid 5 minutes at least, and that's a pretty conservative estimate. During that time, I could hear it moving through the brush behind me. First a wet slap of 𝗕𝗂𝘀 claws on the ground as it went through the clearing. Then the crackle of sticks and leaves as it went into the bush behind me. Heavy though, with a thump to every step. Then I started hearing 𝗕𝚱 breathing, but not like my own. Not the short, sharp breaths I was taking to fuel my lungs. They were slow and deep. It wasn't even trying. I wasn't even worth putting in serious effort in order to catch me. As that thought crossed my mind, it was replaced with the next thought. Paddock, fence, safety. Then the next two thoughts. Where is it? Where is its noise? I went straight over that fence. No hesitation. Jumped the fucker. Saw the farmer and went straight towards him. He was sitting on his quad and only saw me after I was halfway through the paddock. He jumped off that bike faster than I've ever seen an old man move, going for a gun on the back of his quad. Thinking about it now, I completely understand his reaction. Crazed-looking male running towards him at 7:30 in the morning out of bush where I had absolutely no reason to be, covered in mud. Scratches all over my face. Before he'd actually gotten the rifle out of its protector, I'd reached him, turned around to look at the bush I come from, and backed up until I was standing by his side. He had stopped going for the gun, was looking at me, then looking at the bush. Then back at me. "Are you okay, son?" he asked. I looked away from the bush, towards him, and replied, "Yeah." The fucking look in his eyes. He saw my fear, my absolute terror. He shared that feeling with me for a brief second, for I started walking in the direction of home. I was in shock. I should have asked him for help. I walked for 3 hours, staying very clear of the bush. My mind was racing. What was that thing? What was that knock on the fence? What did that farmer think? Am I going to get collected by the police and put in the plastic spoons and forks ward in the insane asylum? Should I be in the plastic spoons and forks ward? I got to somewhere familiar. I looked for mushies in this paddock before. I was 5 minutes away from home and relative safety. I just had to cross the stream and walk up the road. The stream connected to the bush where it lived. It took me another 45 minutes to coax up the courage to do what needed to be done. I just wanted to be home. I wanted to curl up into a ball and cry in the comfort of my room. So I did it. I ran straight at and through the stream and to the other side, back to concrete roads. That felt so good. I was euphoric. I was wearing a fedora and opening doors for women. Yet again, I still wasn't good. That feeling just creeps up your spine, like running a popsicle stick through your 2 top and bottom front teeth while biting down. I can't get away from it. I've been feeling it the rest of the day. It's not so bad anymore, but it was just like in the bush when I got home. It's 1:32 p.m. right now. And now I'm sitting in front of my computer typing this out. This is also where I'm in need of some serious help. What the fuck is going on here, X? I haven't seen that yet, and he's always up by now. My cat Bruno is limping, and I've simply just got no idea what to do. Any advice, please?